All right, I think I am live. Yes. Hi, everyone. I am here for my number 10, episode number 10, The Suit of Swords. Now, I've been excited about the Suit of Swords. It's been quite the journey through the minor arcana, let's say it properly. And I am excited to kind of jump in. Now, before I jump in, as a reminder, the Suit of Swords is associated with air, right? The element of air. And air can flow everywhere. It's always in movement, always in action, and but also can be, cool and calming and tumultuous, and so kind of really connects really well with swords. It'll be swords is associated with our thoughts and our ideas, or our intellect, right? It can be the rational mind, and our power, truths or facts, for us, right? Or things that actually happen, actions being taken, and our power, like in our life, or the power that we give to others, right? So it's interesting. I really like this suit. It can be a little dark at times, though, but where there is struggle and challenges, there's always change, and things come through. And it's, remember, minor arcana is right now. It's always a temporary thing. It's never concrete, never a long-term thing, which is great. I love this about the tarot deck has the major arcana, which is a little bit more general, a little bit more long-term, whereas the minor arcana is more right now, temporary. Yeah. All right, so let's get to it. We are going to start with the Ace of Swords. Now, I like both renditions. Um, they're very different, but at the same time, there's a lot of similarities. And so, if you look here, you have like a thoughts or ideas, right? You see the coming straight from the mind, which is allowing and flowing and being connected with ourself, right? And then you have, but it's also putting it into action. And you have like the crown here, which represents success, and bounty. Like you have a lot of the vine here that represents that you will be successful as well, which is beautiful. But it's a beginning of that journey, right? You're not going to have it right away. You're at the beginning of it. It's card number one. And but there's a lot of promise, and you stick to it, and you get through the harder times, then and the victory times, and you will get to your goal, which is kind of faithful to the ace and all the other suits as well. So it's the beginning of this journey, right? Beginning towards mastery and whatnot. So that is the Ace of Swords. So we're going on to the Two of Swords. Now the Two of Swords is a little bit not darker, but like there can be confusion, right? As you can see, there's something we're not seeing, right? You see the blindfold here. Either something we're not seeing or that we're choosing not to see, and we're feeling like, ugh, there's many possibilities. There's a lot of indecision. What do I do? Right. But there's kind of like a foggy, there's no clarity there. Kind of feel stuck, you don't know what to choose. And what's right? What's wrong? Is this right for me? Is it like, there's a lot of, confusion. And I think one of the reasons why there's confusion is because the emotions are not aligned as well. You're feeling a lot of strong emotions. It's like, oh, is this right? It doesn't feel right. What feels right, right? And then, or it could be that you're too much in your head and you're not connected to your emotions, and connecting with yourself would actually bring you more clarity of mind. So that is the Two of Swords. Yes, a lot of challenge and truth, right? So let's move on to the Three of Swords. Now, the Three of Swords is it's one of the darkest cards of the Minor Arcana. So let me bring this out here. Now, I've had this card several times in my readings. They have been, it can be that there's a lot of, this is what your journey has been. It's been painful, it still is. You feel torn, right? The Three Swords in the heart. Painful. Sometimes it's physical pain, sometimes it's emotional pain. But, it can be hurt feelings, disappointment. But it is temporary, as everything, like I said about the Minor Arcana. And, it's not the end of the world as we know it, even if it feels like it in the moment. This too shall pass. And if you truly connect with yourself and with your truth and with all of with what you know is right inside of you, this will pass, and you will be able to make the changes that need to be brought so that you don't feel like this anymore, all the pain. Or if it's a physical pain, by the way, just quickly, there will be a breakthrough, or there will be, you find something that can bring you some relief. All right, so we're moving on to the 4. Now, the 4 I like. It's kind of like almost a respite. It gives you a break. You just had something really intense with the Three of Swords. Now, this one is more of a calm, almost meditative, time to rest. You need to have healing, physical or emotional. Take the time to take like a step back, and resource and connect with yourself and do things, activities for yourself that will be restful, that will refill your cup, that will make you feel like you can take on the day again, because you're ultimately we're our own safe space. There is no safer space than inside ourselves. And if you haven't found that or connected with that, this card is often an opportunity, an encouragement to find that inside of yourself, because you are your ultimate sacred space, right? Your body is sacred. And so it's an opportunity to connect with yourself and to find that calm, loving, rejuvenative space inside yourself. Love this card. Beautiful. So we move on to, sorry, I'm going the wrong way. Okay, so we have the 5 of Swords here. Now, what's interesting about this 5 of Swords is that we've just had that rest, right? And we've just been restorative, and then we have a point of tension. There is conflict, and there's misunderstanding, and everyone's being triggered. There's no one that's a winner. Everyone's just frustrated and misunderstood and not heard, not being heard. Everyone feels frustrated or bad, and it's time to take a step back and whoa. Let's just breathe and allow ourselves to just calm down, take that step back, and talk about it after the emotions have calmed down and we're less in our head and we're less on the defensive and less triggered, right? So that is the 5 of Swords. Now, the 6 of Swords. The 6 of Swords is more like a mental transition or a period of change, okay? We've communicated, we've been through all those really intense emotions. And as you can see, like here, she's on a boat with her daughter, and then here she's on a boat as well, and you have her suitcase. It really is a time of change and transition. But it's emotional. It doesn't necessarily feel really good right now. Change can be really challenging. It can be so hard to lean into and to really embrace because everything's new and we're kind of like, what am I supposed to be doing? But you're going towards something that often it represents that you're moving towards something that is better and that will serve you better and that will bring you more stability and more calm. And you're making this decision because it really is something that you've chosen for yourself and that will benefit you in the long term. Not even in the long run, like your next step, right? It's hard to just be patient sometimes and move through the uncomfortable and the painful sometimes to be able to get there. So this one is kind of like a promise of it's coming. Just be patient. Beautiful. So then we move on to the 7. Now, the 7 can be a little bit one of those triggering cards as well. I'm going to call them a trigger card. It can mean deceit and dishonesty, but it's not necessarily with others. It can be with ourselves as well when we're, holding on to something that kind of satisfies a part of us that, there's a few songs that I heard recently, shit's hitting the fan, but, let's get the party started and I'm going to drown my sorrows, or I'm going to, kind of thing. But it's not, no. That's never a good solution, and you never feel better afterwards. Maybe during you don't feel anymore, but it's not even a good short-term solution. So holding it, often it can mean that we're holding on to things or people that are toxic in our life. Toxic habits, like I just said, alcohol, drugs, things like that. They no longer serve you or aren't good for you, right? It can also be, this is an opportunity often to purge things that are not healthy for you, that are not helping you find your balance, that are keeping you from the good things in your life. The things that are, we all have our blessings. The grass is always green around us. We just got to look, instead of seeing what we don't have, seeing what we actually have, taking that step back and being able to, look at your options and your choices. And leaving behind what is keeping you from healing and from moving forward. So that is the number 7. Now we move on to number 8, which is a little interesting. And once again, we're not seeing or choosing not to see something in our life. But you're not understanding what you're not seeing or what's wrong, or like, what's going on? What am I doing wrong? Okay, there can be confusion in this card. You feel pulled in, different directions and prompted and like, once again, confusion, like the 3 of Swords, the mental fog, the emotions getting in the way of your clarity. But once again, if you look inside, connect with yourself, and stay away from being too much in your head and like in the fight or flight and why is this not logical? Well, emotions are not logical. Sorry to say, but it might be a disappointment, but the emotions are messy, the good ones and the hard ones. Emotions are just messy. Life is messy. And acknowledging our emotions of what we're experiencing and stop trying to avoid the pain instead of acknowledging it. Acknowledging the pain will allow you to understand it. And I don't know if that makes sense. Because you do have options. We all have options. There's always a solution. There's always another way. Okay. And if you see in this, the woman is bound, but it's not super tightly. She could easily break through them and really focus and look and find that solution, right? And so letting go of limiting beliefs, or just beliefs about ourselves that are not, you see, that are like, is that really true about myself, or things that are not serving you? Like, let me give you an example. One of the limiting beliefs about me was that I couldn't do, or I needed to know certain things about these videos before I threw myself into them. I was hiding behind it. And I wasn't doing it. And someone just said, like, what are you waiting for? Why haven't you started your videos yet? I was like, yeah. And they were absolutely right. And so this card is that. You need to choose your solution, stop finding excuses, stop hiding behind them, and just do. And break free from your own limiting beliefs. Hard cards, huh? Now the 9. The 9 is another really hard card. The next 2 are actually pretty hard as well. So we have the 9 here. There's a lot of stress, anguish. So stress, anguish, fears often are getting the better of you, right? You're in a situation, or sometimes it can just be in the mind. Swords is very much action, but also what's going on in our heads, right? And so we are our own worst enemy often, because the fear, whatever that fear is, whatever form that is, whether it's a small one or a big fear, we get in our way often, right? And so seem things seem dark. This is a time that you're going to have to heal. There's no getting around the pain. There's no getting out of the darkness. But going through it and allowing yourself to feel and allowing yourself to have the, pain isn't necessarily bad. It's there as a signal that there's something wrong and that it needs to be taken care of, right? And so then you have here, things are not ending well in a situation that you thought it would possibly. But just like any situation, this one is temporary. And just over the horizon, there is the light. Stop, breathe. Your solution will come. But once again, look inside for your solutions and look inside for the answers that you really, really need. See, there's a lot of darkness, but if you stop and step out of the overwhelm, your solutions will come. And in that spirit, we move on to the 10 of Swords, which is another hard card. I call them trigger cards, right? But I like this card because there's a promise, there's something, the light is right there. The solution is there if we want it. Okay, so it's the end of the dark tunnel, right? The light is just ahead. You've endured, you've been strong. You're coming out stronger and wiser out of this hard period of time of struggle, and you've learned so much. If you allow yourself to learn, right? And in this card, you've allowed yourself to learn. And it's time to leave behind what no longer serves you, leave behind what is toxic and is not good for you in your life. Ready for the new beginning, ready for new opportunities. No more toxic, no more pain, no more self-sabotage, which is unfortunately something that we all do. It's time to choose yourself first. Once we take care of ourselves first, we can take care of all the rest after. But we have to take care of this in order to be able to deal with anything else. And so, yeah, it's time to explore what you want in the very moment, right now. What is it that you want? What do you not want as well, right? We don't want to be going through what we just went through, right? So, yeah, it's time to, unfortunately, this can also mean betrayal, but it can be of ourselves and from others. But once again, time to leave it all behind and move forward and move on. All right, so time for the court cards. I'm at 19 minutes. I'm doing a little better than last time, which is great. So here is the page. Now, this is the first card of the court cards in the swords, in the suit of swords. So if I go here, you see that there's like a almost like a opportunity. There you go. That's the word I was looking for, to share your thoughts or your ideas, right? When you're sharing your thoughts and your ideas with someone and in a new way, it takes a little bit of a vulnerability, right? Of trusting yourself and trusting that uh, that no matter what the reaction of the person is, that you'll be fine. So, which is great. I love that it encourages us to be completely authentically ourselves, no matter what the person's reaction will be or what they say. It also it's a time to allow yourself to, like I said, take the risk, but finding that balance inside will allow you to feel safe, even if you're taking that risk. Now, it's always going to be a little bit of uncertainty. We don't know what the outcome will be, right? But if you have your own balance and you stand strong in who you are, then the rest doesn't matter what happens, because you're fully in your power and sharing all of your delicious new ideas. So let's move on to the Knight. Now, the Knight is a little bit, can be a little rash. Remember, I said there was rashness around a little bit of too much action, just kind of speeding forward. Well, this is what the Knight is. There's no stopping him now. There's a sense of urgency, very clear in what he's going for, not holding back, right? Your mind's made up and you're committed. You've gone in head first. The only thing that there's a caution, so be careful in this card, because sometimes you can be triggered or have an emotional reaction if someone does not see or agree with what you're doing or share your vision of it and thinks that there's too much risk or it's not responsible or whatever. Be careful, because this card can represent that kind of emotional reaction. Too busy focusing on what exactly it is that you were trying to go for, and sometimes we're neglecting other parts of our life, or or it's time to be consistent and steadfast and continue instead of rushing and not doing things properly. Sometimes we do things half-assed, and half done and not done properly when we rush. So this card also encourages us to not be too rash. I guess rash is the right word, and to still take the time to do things properly. All right, the Queen. Now, the Queen is the steady, strong, has clear boundaries, and you'll see. She's very much looking to the future, but there is no rashness in her. She's very focused. She's considered her options and her actions. She's being powerfully in the present as well, though. So not just looking to the future, but also, chooses her decisions now very steadfastly and carefully, so that she can have that beautiful future that she's looking forward to. She has clear values and personal boundaries. She has clear ethics and clear personal standards as well, which keeps her, once again, very powerfully in the present, taking the right decisions so that she can create that beautiful future for herself, and very focused on what's coming next. So that is the Queen. Now, to finish this up, the King is kind of comes and gives a little bit of balance to the Queen. The Queen is, as I said, very steadfast and very methodical and very clear in boundaries, whereas the King here is a little bit more flexible with his rules and boundaries, which we kind of all need flexibility, right? He brings this, but he's still strong. He stands strong and sure in his power and authority, but still being just, and he makes fair decisions, if you want. He has authority. Now, this will represent someone in authority either in our lives or the authority that we hold in others' lives, right? The position of authority we would have in other people's lives. Sometimes it's a father figure or a boss, or us being, in a friendship sometimes or whatnot. So, yeah, the authority figures. So, I have someone at the door. This is very uncanny, but I'm done anyway. So, I hope you enjoyed. I hope that you like my content. And if you do, like and subscribe would be absolutely appreciated. And I hope to see you on my next live on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Take care, guys. It was awesome having you with me. Bye.